4.8 million. I mean, I wouldn't say that I'm encouraged, no, but, you know, probably
So,
should.
specifically, you won't get $4.8 million, but you're gonna get something.
So if we get that, if we get anywhere half that, that would be a huge deal as far as replacing our water lines and our service meters and things that they be. And I think that particular grant's got some stuff to do with the plant and the reservoir as well.
You have to do a project a year though, that's the thing around here. You can't, the system, you have to do an upgrade a year.
Well, that's the
And that's-
recommendation of the consultant. He
and
said,
that's-
you guys haven't done 5 upgrades in 25 years.
Yeah.
You've added customers,
Oh.
but you haven't redeveloped the infrastructure. He said, you gotta constantly be changing
So
infrastructure.
that is my goal, is to work with these guys so that we can you can essentially define what project we need, what do we need, and then we're gonna go after every bit of money that we can. Now, unfortunately, with the grant system, I have learned very quickly that it is highly, highly competitive. It is, we're not the only water district in the state of Kentucky, or in the country for that matter, that's having issues like this right now. Everybody. I mean, they say it is unbelievable how many people are having to raise rates and do the things that we're trying to accomplish now. Now, our situation might be a little worse, but this is a very common issue across the state and the country in small rural areas like ours. It's highly, highly competitive. I mean, this money, free money. Now, they'll all give you a loan. They'll all give you a 2% interest rate loan.
As long as they don't want us to pay it back.
If they don't want us to pay it back, then we're good with that, we'll take those. But right now, we can't pay them back. So, and we can't get into that situation either, because if we were to lose our bonding, if we lose those things, that's a whole other mess. So, but I guess my job, I feel like for the board is going to be to go after as much grant money as I possibly can. Now, that's what I do for a living, okay? I work with the government, I finance homes, I go after FHA, rural housing, the rural housing money that you go after, I'm gonna go after every dollar of that, that's what I do. And so as far as board tasks that we're gonna do, that's what I want mine to be, is to go after this money, to try to get you the
That's what I
project that
bet
you
you
need.
on the board.
I know, and to try to get you every project you need, okay? Now, you're gonna have to tell me we're gonna have to sit down and figure out what exactly I'll give you these, we'll work through these in some of our next board meetings, but you've got to tell me what you want, and then we will go after it, okay? And I have, like I said, I've worked with these government agencies for years, I have a pretty good idea how it works. I am not the most patient person in the world, but if you work with the federal government on anything, you will become patient, okay? And so everybody in this room and everybody in this county that wants these problems fixed as fast as we do, you're gonna have to develop some patience, because this stuff is not gonna happen overnight. I mean, I think 5 years
It's aggressive.
is aggressive to fix our problem. I think it's 10 years, if you want me to tell you the truth. I think it'll take 10 years to modify our whole system, to get it completely up to date to where it needs to be. Now, as I was talking, well, John and I have had several conversations. I think every option is on the table, but trying to get our infrastructure and our finances in order are the two first things that we've got to do. That's our two primary things, otherwise we're going to fold. So, but Tuesday morning, 8:30, we will meet with Mr. Kinchlow. He's going to come over and talk to us, but I would like the answers to those questions for him by Tuesday. The ones that are highlighted all the way across that piece of paper. You just need to get with Kentucky Engineering or whoever will answer those for you, and we need them.
You know, the meter replacement, that's already been prioritized. The DVP, CTs, crypto, that's been addressed too. We moved the point of injecting chlorine to the top of the filters.
Yeah, we talked about that last time. Okay.
And this last week, but the reservoir intake, that's prioritized.
Okay. Yeah, like I said, we just got to make sure we get all those answers from them. These 4 projects that have been set out, we'll continue to push for these while we work on the others.
There's something that we need to put on a list and try to get grant money to address, in my opinion. We've got the river intake over there. We've got 2 pumps, and we always got one out for repair. We never have the money to go pick the pump up when it's ready to fix. There's another option, and that high pressure pump that ties directly into the line. I'm not saying get rid of what we've got currently, I'm saying we need $110,000 to buy this high pressure pump, tie it into the system, and we can run them all three alternately and not always be broke down in one position or the other.
So we can go, so that's something that we need to immediately go
And
after.
how much better is that pump than what we're doing currently, John?
It's the only thing that I've seen 7 years that actually works.
If you've never been to the river intake, you need to go over and check it out.
It'll put 4 million gallons a day into the reservoir,
400 horsepower.
400 horsepower.
We need to talk to AEP also when we start thinking about trying to get a grant to get that done. We've got to meet with AEP and talk to them about the power situation over
Is that to where so the power's so dirty, we constantly surge?
Or find a place to build a plant on the river.
there. Well, and long-term.
Long-term, that would be the
10-year
idea, I
plan,
would think. Yeah, there's gotta be something like that we do, but.
Either way, we have to
something
do it
that we
right.
have to- Yeah. Yeah.
But you know, that's an option. No options are off the table, right?
Right, no, everything's on the table.
Well, and one thing too, talking about grant money and stuff, you know, people hear, you know, you got $1.2 million coming in, and what they don't understand, that money is earmarked. You can only spend it on
Yeah.
this. If we could take the $1 million coming in, for instance, if we actually put it in our bank account, we can pay all of our bills
That's
off
what I
and
was
start.
gonna say. Jimmy Dunn can correct me if I'm wrong, but every grant I've ever been involved with, you never physically touch the money.
No.
No,
The grantor keeps the money, and they pay the bills on the project as they come in.
So,
Yeah.
and that's, you're talking about Big Sandy
So all
Ash.
this shenanigans
They
about
handle
where'd the grant money go, who stole it is ridiculous. Nobody ever touched the money.
yeah, no, it will go into,
Big Sandy
it's
Ash.
in the ad, they have a,
We submit them the bills, they pay the bills.
they take care of the bills and to make sure that everything, because we can't spend that money on anything outside of what that
Of
grant
what
is
it
specifically for.
specifically says, yes.
I don't know who, maybe people here can tell me, but my mom used to tell me about Willie Kurt, that he got put in jail because he spent the money on the wrong thing. I don't know if that's true, she said, no, you gotta be careful.
It is true, and that's the
Yeah.
reason it is the way it is
And some of the
now.
stuff here, like the community center that we do with that grant stuff that we do, I mean, it is so specific, I mean, we have to be careful, or we can lose our funding, they can, or we can go to jail. It's, I mean, it's pretty specific on what you can do with the money. But no, now that particular grant has been appropriated to us, is my understanding, it just hasn't, nobody's actually got the money yet and been told they can actually start. And so, from, well, yesterday going forward, I will stand on the necks of whoever at Big Sandy Ag and get that started, and we will get that going. Because that is desperately needed. Desperately. And, I mean, but it's, you know, you work with the government, it's just the way it is.
It
I mean,
is.
it's just slow, and they take their time, and they ain't worried about us. They're,
Any new project, you gotta do environmental studies, they want to see, just like they did at the school, for instance,
correct.
to check if the school would interfere with the flight of bats, things like that. Your hands are tied, that's just what you had to face.
now, John and I are also, and I don't know if anybody else can come in there, it has to be considered a special meeting. We're gonna, after we get done with you, we're gonna go up and meet with Linda Sumter.
Two people's all you can have.
Okay, so we're gonna go up and meet with Linda Sumter and start getting a good handle on the day-to-day, on what's actually going on, what's being spent, what's actually going out. I mean, I think at some point we should probably task somebody on the board as well for that to be the priority, you know, to really study that. And I can do that. I mean,
That would probably take a financial man out.
Yeah, I can do it.
Soon.
uh,
I just soon do it myself.
Well, you can.
Nothing against you, Jimmy.
That's all right. You can do that the day-to-day.
That's what I like to do.
Okay. So somebody's got to get into the day-to-day where this money's going. We've got to start addressing those issues too and seeing where we can conserve money, where we can save money. What we can
Obviously,
do.
we're not wasting any money on
No.
products because we're on COD with every vendor we've
Yeah,
got.
no.
Really?
Well, we're paying a premium for everything that we pay.
The number one waste of money we've got, and we all know it, is we're producing 50% more water than we're selling.
Yep,
And we've got to get that down, and the way to get it down is through these capital projects and improving the system.
yep.
There's not leaks because somebody's doing a bad job, there's leaks because, and John pointed this out to me yesterday, we're standing in the middle of frog pond over there, and he said, well, there's a main line that goes here, and there's a main line here, and I think there's one over there. I said, why in the world do you have 3 main lines in one place? I mean, I could see having 2, you know, so if you had a problem, you could switch or whatever. He said, well, over the years, we've had to add main lines, apparently, and this is before his time. But instead of, if you got a 2-inch main line, and you need another 2-inch to carry it, or one 3-inch would carry it, we add the 2-inch and we leave them both on, or instead of adding a 3 or 4-inch. So we end up with all these lines. We've created lines, I say we, but this water district has created lines that we have to maintain and service that are old and brittle and not serviceable because we didn't have the foresight to rip them out of the ground when we put a new one in. That's something that we've got to be aware of when we do improvement projects in the future. These lines that are 30 years old have to go. If we get money to replace a 30-year-old main line, the old one has to go, and that's not negotiable with the engineering group.
It just seems like they've never unhooked them when they put a new one in, you know.
They never unhooked the old one.
For instance, cold water, I've got 4 main lines running up cold water different places. You know how hard it is to find out who's on those lines? You just gotta find time to try to, you know, cut people off and to find out who's on them, who's actually on what. We don't know.
We spend an enormous amount of time cutting off meters and valves to try to figure out, okay, we know there's a leak here between here and here, but we don't know which line it's on. So we're cutting valves off, turning valves on, listening to devices, trying to figure it out. It's crazy.
So if there was just one main line, it would.
Right.
Yeah.
Or even if there was 2,
Yeah.
not 4, like he said, there's 4 on Coldwater.
It's, and you know, it's like it all in Canada, we don't, you know, we don't know who's on what.
The reason it is that way is because when times were great around here, everybody wanted water. So nobody was concerned about what was gonna happen in 20 years. Everybody's concerned about getting water to the guy in the head of the holler. And I get that. But we're paying the price right now, and it's up to us to fix it.
But it's also not mapped out either.
Oh no, there's no good maps. The best maps we've got are in Jones Notebook. And then old Abe McGinnis's head.
That's a fact. Yeah. You know, all in all, we're trying to get everybody off of Kermit the next week sometime. We fixed a couple bad leaks, one a long branch one night, and then they had that 30-footer that split down across from Calvary Temple. That's probably been leaking for a while out in that bottom. We just couldn't find it. So,
How many days in a row have you and your men worked? 14?
well, since it's cold weather here.
I want you to start giving one guy off every day. I know you can't, but I want you to anyway. These guys are tired.
They are tired.
Families are tired not seeing them. They haven't been home more than 6 or 7 hours a night in 2 weeks.
But no, what I'm saying is, we're trying to get everybody off of, I can probably, you know, we've been monitoring that system up there on 292, it's holding good. So, I know there's people up there that haven't had good water or haven't had enough pressure because they live high on up on these hills. And, they were on mountain water, some of them, and we don't have, the mountain water didn't give us a lot of pressure. They only give us about 60 gallons per minute coming down our way, so we had to take it at the time. So hopefully we'll be off of mountain water today, and I could turn Kermit off today, but I don't want to jump the gun on the whole system. Trying, you know, a couple of days without turning the water off over there is a big help. So,
Priority was the other side of the hill is going to be on tonight.
yes.
So
Yeah, I won't turn
The big
anything off
problems that we need to
unless
fix
something
now.
happens a blowout between now and tonight,
the big problems that we need to fix to leave it on are taken care of.
as of now.
So right now, the priority is Tomahawk.
Right now, that's my priority today and tomorrow is to try to get where we don't have to shut. Whenever we shut water off over here, it takes us all day just to get water onto these other pump stations, get water.
Water from here to your boots.
And that's what we just worked our way into it over on the Warfield side of the hill. Like I say, I know there's people that we're gonna have to replace some service lines, or just froze up. we're trying to get to them. But hopefully, we're not shutting anything off on the other side of the hill. Last night, like I say, the only thing we turned off was Pigeon Roost and, one part of Wolf Creek and, Inlet Creek. So, up to Webbville. So, this part of the, Rock Castle side and Mead House side only feeds to Webbville. And then the Wolf Creek side comes back down from Lovely to Webbville. And the reason is, years ago, or a couple years ago, they were that big, the hill came off at Pam and Clint Mullins' house. That whole area worked, and we had to we lost our main in that area, so we had to valve it off. So whenever the contractors put this new line in, they had to go around that area. So they went across the creek and around, well, that washed out in the creek, and that's why that we're just feeding both ways up to that point, so.
So as long as that area holds, we're gonna leave water on there at night.
I'm not worried about Wolf
Water's
Creek too much,
Held-
because new lines.
Marcus Wells thinks the only thing that we'll probably shut off tonight unless we fix some big
Unless
leaks
we can
today.
find some stuff to, it
Nobody
doesn't take
reported the 200 gallon minute.
it doesn't take a big leak, I'm telling you, it's small leaks. It's just, small leaks kill you, as many as we have out here. I would rather have a main line out somewhere than try to look for all these small ones. It's a big area too. We're gonna try to work on over in here. Get down in Buffalo Warren area down in there. That's big, it's a big area long, goes long ways. Down in Yellow Creek, Blankenship. You know, that's what we're gonna do this weekend over here. Hopefully we won't have water off at all, but you know, I'm not pulling off of Kermit right now. I'm not pulling off of Prestonsburg right now until we can get in those areas, and I'm not going to jump the gun and hurt the system here right now.
Well, we've got a game plan. We've improved every day. We've shut less people off every night, so we're on the right track. We just have to stay the course. You need to give those men a break, or they're gonna give out on you.
And you need to take
They're all
some
right.
sleep.
They're all right. They're,
How many nights you sleep in the water plant?
At least 6.
At least 6.
it's all right though. Yeah, them woods know it's their job right now.
All right.
Well, can you let me know if we need to give them something?
We need to get them fed every night. They appreciate that. I talked
We've
to
had,
them
and I will
yesterday.
say out loud, we've had Lauren at Cloud9, Pizza Stop, Billy Atkins, work of Dairy Bar, has fed them.
Christy Brown fed them yesterday.
Christy Brown, didn't Sheila feed them one day too?
Sheila feed you one day, yeah. All right. We need to keep that up. We've got a personnel issue that we need to address. We need to go into executive session, so I need a motion to do that.
Can I ask a question?
I'm not taking questions in this
Okay,
meeting.
so you're not taking questions
Give
from
me a
local
motion.
media?
I'll make a motion to go into executive session.
I'll
All in
second.
favor?
Aye.
We need to clear the room.
Let me figure it out.
That's what we're doing. It's just,
So no action taken in executive session. Can I get a motion to adjourn?
I second.
All in favor?
Sorry, buddy.